Hello and welcome to Creating Canon with your hosts AJ Hamilton and Neo Compu Persona.
Yay!
Yay! That's you, buddy.
I don't even know what that meant. Neo Compu Persona?
Uh-huh. It's in relation to androids and
Got it.
alternate realities in which the Bronx has been...
C, I cannot believe you didn't go with Cyborg for C.
Oh, man, but none of them were cyborgs.
But in everything about this movie, it says a cyborg cop.
Well, that is a lie, clearly.
Or, actually, it doesn't even say a cyborg cop. It just says, in a futuristic New York City, a cyborg goes on a killing spree.
But they're androids. Anyway.
And also, that was not what this movie was about.
Well, and also... Nicholas C. Pepin.
Yay!
That's you, buddy.
That's the sound of one hand and another hand clapping.
Good.
For one person.
You can count.
And one
I'm
person
so proud of you.
Clapping. Oh boy. This is, you can tell by the clapping that this is another episode of Quarantine Canon.
Quarantine Canon.
Quarantine Canon.
Quarantine Cabin Canon.
Shelter in Cabin. Shelter in Canon?
That's the one.
Canon in place.
Oh, nice. I like that.
There we go.
And you can catch up on all of your canoning while this quarantine is happening. Nicholas, hey,
AJ,
we're here at Creating Canon, and we watched a movie this week.
Yes, we did.
Nicholas, tell me what movie that was.
This week we watched 1989's The Bronx Executioner. This was towards the end of the Go-Go Boys years when it comes to, like, where does it land in the canon stockpile.
Indeed.
And this was 100% not canon produced. It was one of those ones like Bridge to Hell, where the Canon Boys released it in the
They just
States.
bought it up. And because this is an Italian film, correct?
This is an well, it's actually technically two Italian films, but that's a whole ball of fucking wax that we will get into.
All right.
Yeah, so what ended up happening was there was a movie by Romolo Guerriani, which I probably butchered.
Probably.
Romolo Guerrieri.
From 1984,
Okay.
called The Final Executioner, starring Woody Strode and a couple of other people, including Margie Newton, who plays Margie in this film.
Oh.
And they ended up, for whatever reason, taking half of that movie and refilming it with different actors.
Oh, no.
And redoing the plot line. So they like, took all, like, anything with Woody Strode in it in this movie was not filmed for this movie. That was filmed for The Final Executioner.
Oh, interesting.
Which probably explains a lot of why his scenes were so weird.
So random. Yeah.
They basically did to Woody Strode what J.J. Abrams did to Carrie Fisher in the new Star Wars movie, which was take a bunch of weird outtakes, cut them together with other characters just talking a lot of exposition, and then cutting back to Woody Strode and him being like, yes.
Well, this movie is about 75% exposition.
No, that's not true, because honestly... look, yes, you're right. I mean, look, this is so hard because, yes, technically you're right. But also, I have watched this movie start to finish.
Yeah, me too.
And I am still not quite clear on what I watched. What happened, or what the actual plot/storyline was.
Well, yeah. What's
That's the weird part when you say it's all like yes, there's a lot of talking, but there is no actual, like...
explanation of it all.
Explanation of anything.
No, there's really not. Do you have a...
yes, I do have a plot.
A plot summary,
that
though?
I wrote,
yeah.
And I did the best I could.
Okay.
Which is, androids fight humanoids in the Bronx for some reason in The Bronx Executioner.
Good.
Yeah.
That's as good as you could get, and that's all you're given. in this movie.
It is tough.
This movie actually jumps in with this bizarre Koyaanisqatsi-esque type of entry to the movie.
You went real highbrow.
I know I did.
You went real highbrow.
I mean,
I was not expecting that.
If you've seen even the trailer for Koyaanisqatsi, it's just abstract and just mind-blowing. It's go ahead.
I have something mind-blowing for you, AJ.
What's that?
I think it's potentially mind-blowing.
Okay.
Did you know that Koyaanisqatsi is a trilogy called the Qatsi trilogy, right?
Okay.
You know that?
I had heard.
The second movie in that trilogy
Yes.
is a canon film.
What?
Yes! Yes.
Oh my god.
Powakotski. I'm probably butchering that, but yes. It was
What?
Is your mind sufficiently blown?
It's more blown than it possibly could have been. That's bizarre. So we're going to watch that.
Yes, we will eventually watch the sequel. And maybe one day we'll watch the whole trilogy as a couple of canon
Oh
fodder.
my god. Well, I mean... oh man, I think that's the end of the episode.
That's it.
That's
We're just
amazing.
But, oh man, what a pull, man. That was a great pull.
I like connections. That's great.
I do too.
But honestly,
I can't believe you didn't that's awesome that's the movie you bring up.
So weird.
Yeah.
But it just doesn't it feel like that? It's just all of these weird random shots about space travel and cities and tech and stuff like that. And I got to believe that was to symbolize the destruction of the world or the de-evolution of society or something like that. Was that what you got from that? Well, if it was that highbrow?
It was actually... So I thought this was partially unclear because, well, first of all, the computer tech was probably in 1989. That was oh my god, this is so futuristic and high tech.
Yes.
Except for, I have a hunch that those computers are from the 1984 movie, The Final Executioner.
Yes.
I could be wrong.
No, maybe.
But they even looked out of date for 1989. And we have 3 minutes and 20 seconds of just computer images.
Yeah.
But there's this weird little voiceover that goes... I can't remember the exact thing, but from what I understood of the voiceover is that mankind destroyed itself.
Kinda, yeah.
Or started to destroy itself. So then computers knew that the world needed mankind, so they made replica versions of humans that were then to replace humans? Was that what you got?
Honestly, no, I didn't get any of that. I got that they had just developed... I really don't know.
It was clear as mud.
Clear
which is
as
why
mud.
I went back to when you said this movie felt like 75% exposition.
Yeah.
You are both right and so wrong.
Right, it's confused exposition.
Basic
because
things.
You know what
make no sense.
You know what the narration at the beginning sounded like? It sounded like a police chief telling, assigning his, I don't know, his sergeant or something like that to a different section of the town. All right, Research AJ here. So just for clarification, Nick and AJ are actually talking about two separate narrations. Neither explain much of anything or benefit the narrative. So, moving on.
But this is the weird thing too. The first 3 minutes and 20 seconds of this movie, that computer stuff and those images, there's really only one line of voiceover, and that's the one where it sounded to me like it was saying basically what I had said before. The fact that humans had destroyed the world and now computers were replacing humans because the world needs humans.
Sure.
Which, if this quarantine has taught us anything, it is that actually the world does not need humans.
Not
in fact,
really.
It's just better without it.
Doing pretty well.
And then for the next minute and 44 seconds, which 5 minutes and 4 seconds into the runtime, it's just city shots of New York.
It's just city shots of modern New York.
Yeah.
Nothing altered as if it was destroyed by an atom bomb or something like that.
Yeah. So that was clear. It was so unclear. So yeah, long story short, we're at 5 minutes and 4 seconds into the movie. A movie that's only an hour and 24 minutes, by the way.
Yeah.
Before we see our first human.
Yep.
And that's when that voiceover starts where, yeah, you're right. It's like, it sounded like so it's like a secondary voiceover that sounds like a police chief being like, I'm sending you to the Bronx.
Yeah. You got to take, there's some disturbances between the warring factions or some dumb thing like that. And it's your job to do it. Now, it kind of makes sense now that it was 2 movies because they try to shoehorn so many different weird, unrelated things into this movie, and the dynamics don't work
beforehand.
Oh no, that's fine.
Because I think as I was watching it, a lot of my frustrations kind of went away with, okay, they're cutting something together.
But here's the thing: if you're doing that, you have to see a reason for doing it. Yes. So. Regardless, what's up on the screen is what's up on the screen. There's no excuse otherwise.
No, because you're so right.
Yeah, so I don't give it any.
I mean, audiences in 1989 are watching this movie going, what the fuck is happening? The same way you are.
Yeah.
Because they didn't have the internet to tell them that this is actually half of another movie.
That's right, exactly. And at this point, it's 6 minutes in, and we get this is a problem with this movie that. Clearly, because it's trying desperately to get to an hour and a half, they are drawing out scenes, they are duplicating shots all over the damn place. And it starts right here, where for some reason there is a sniper rifle being leveled at the first character that we're watching go through the forest or whatever.
A white guy named James.
James
Gabriel Gorey.
Yeah, and he's about as interesting as Wood.
Whoa. I've seen Wood that was more interesting.
It's an insult to Wood.
Yes.
Yeah, no.
Have you seen that one piece of wood that looks like a flattened golden retriever face?
Oh, that is fascinating. Yeah.
See what I mean?
No,
that
you're
piece
right.
Of wood is way more interesting.
Insulting
than
to
James.
That. Yeah. No, that's true. Well, so we see this shot of this gun being aimed at James over and over again throughout the woods. Again, this is supposed to be Bronx in New York.
I guess what we were supposed to understand is that the Bronx it's been overgrown?
To me,
question mark?
To me, the entirety of the Bronx, wherever they were, looked like an abandoned Kentucky mining town.
Yes.
Right?
It's complete with a gigantic house for the mine owner.
Yes, exactly. And a quarry and disheveled warehouses and stuff.
Because not 1 second of this was really on any New York street, I don't think.
No. Although funny enough, I did watch a thing, The Bronx in the 80s. It was like a 5-minute video on YouTube. Check it out. And it's interesting how dilapidated it is.
Then or now?
Then. I'm absolutely sure that the Bronx is nicer now.
It's interesting because I just watched this movie called 42nd Street Memories.
Okay.
And it's all about what is essentially now Times Square and Broadway. Throughout the 60s, 70s, and 80s, all the theaters there were just like porno theaters and grindhouse theaters. That's where the crack was sold. That's where all the sex shops were.
Sure.
You can watch live sex shows up and down that street. And I've always thought it fascinating that when you watch a movie that takes place in 1980s New York, it looks like Escape from New York. What's interesting about it is it doesn't. Like, Escape from New York is like a post-apocalyptic wasteland. But that's what New York sort of looked like back then. Because when you look at it in today's standards, it's sort of glitzy and glamoury. And that section of Times Square was rebuilt by Disney, actually.
Oh, my God.
And, that's where the Disney theaters are that run, The Lion King for 30 years. And things like that. So I'm wondering... Sorry, this all goes back to...
No, yeah.
I'm wondering if all of New York was just sort of that, post-apocalyptic wasteland.
It could have been, and I'm not exactly. I'm not a historian. I don't know why there was that.
Wait, you're not?
Dilapidation. No,
I quit this podcast.
Wait, come back.
What? I'm back.
I need your expertise.
Okay.
I thought some flattery might do it. All right. But I really don't know the history of what was happening in the 70s or earlier on to make it such a rundown area. But I'm sure that editor AJ will look into this and give a 30-second spiel right here. Research AJ here, or Editor AJ, as you clowns want to refer to me as. Listen, I'm not always going to be around to bail your small-minded asses out, so if you don't know something, just admit it and move on. People aren't here for a history lesson. They're here to listen to two knuckleheads talk about crazy canon movies. All right? Back to the show.
Thank you, Editor AJ.
Awesome. He's so smart.
I appreciate your insights.
Okay, Research AJ here. I feel bad. This is why I'm here, after all. Pretty much drugs are the reason. Drugs that the government introduced to oppress its people. The 70s had actually bankrupted the city and the country with inflation, sky-high interest rates, and recession. Also, not to mention any names, but real estate developers had free rein, destroying low-income housing and thus creating homelessness exponentially. Okay, that enough history for you? Google it. Back to the show. But yeah, we haven't even been introduced to the second human being. All right.
Yeah.
And that is...
We thought this would be a fast podcast.
And that is by far Woody Strode is the next fellow that we meet. And he's probably the most famous person in this movie.
Oh, by far. Woody Strode probably is most known for Sergeant Rutledge, which is an incredible movie. The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance. He was in Sporadicus, if you're a fan of Clueless.
Sporadicus.
Yeah. Clueless still holds up.
Yep.
And then we actually talked about Woody Strode quite a bit recently when we saw Vigilante at the New Beverly with our, and that's in conjunction with our Robert Forster tribute.
That's right.
We did a cannon blast on that movie. But yeah, Woody Strode by far. Well, it's funny that you say he's the most famous person in this movie, because technically he wasn't in this movie.
That's true.
He was in a different movie.
Damn it. Yeah, yeah. Although it doesn't look any better.
No,
sadly.
not at all.
I mean, he's intense. And if they had used his actual audio, I imagine that it would have been better.
Yes. Well, because there was, like, honestly, it was so uncomfortable when it would be like a close-up of Woody Strode, and he would say like 5 words, and then it would cut to a stand-in.
Yes.
From behind, where you could also see James's face.
Yeah.
And Woody Strode would just have this like long monologue to James, just looking at him like, I wish there was an actor here to play off of. And they would cut back to Woody Strode for like 2 more sentences and then cut away.
Also, all of this was dubbed.
Just
a warning for anybody.
Well, I mean, it's an Italian film.
It's an Italian film. I know.
It's that thing.
That's true.
The thing they do.
Oh my God.
2 lines that Woody Strode had that really killed me were, number 1, when he's like, "My name's Sheriff Warren. Everyone just calls me the Black Man."
Oh, God.
It was like...
Yeah.
What?
And that actually... Yeah.
What happened just now?
And it's weird because the rest of the people that he sheriffs, or, he's known as the sheriff in those parts.
No, he's known as the Black Man in those parts.
Well,
he is a sheriff.
That's fair. With like a 50-cent police badge, like, stuck to his... It's so generic. It's hilarious.
That badge is amazing.
But he is the sheriff, but the people that he polices, I don't know...
they're not people.
No, they're not. They are the groups, the androids and the humanoids. But my point is that they are not... It's not like they're ignorant. It's not that they're cavemen. Why would they call him the Black Man?
Well...
I mean, I do realize that there are no black people
in this movie other than
those people. Yeah, in that group, in either group.
Yeah, what was interesting too is the only one who actually calls him the Black Man is Dakar, who we'll talk about later.
Yeah.
But when Dakar talks about Woody Strode's character, he talks about him with reverence. He really likes him.
Oh yeah, it's not a term of
it's not a
disparagement.
Term.
No, not at all.
That was weird to me. when it was eventually revealed that it actually isn't a term of disparagement, because that's what I thought it was going to be.
Exactly.
But yeah, so Woody Strode basically just explains that here we are.
Yep.
We are in the Bronx, and there are, robots rule the world.
Yeah. I guess.
And there are two groups, the androids and the humanoids, who it is his job to make sure that they don't fight too much.
Yeah. It didn't seem like he had any allegiance either. He'd fight either side.
Yeah, well, that was
whoever was making trouble.
Yeah. So, and he went on this really long monologue about how, we can't, because one of my questions at one point was they're fucking robots. Why can't you just kill them?
Right. Yeah.
But then it was sort of explained, kind of, maybe, the fact that they were defective robots.
Correct.
And because they were defective, they had feelings. And we couldn't kill them because they had feelings which made them more human.
Yeah, and this is actually referred to as a type of reservation.
Yes.
And then they really ham-handedly say, oh, like the Native Americans? Yes.
No, that's not what they said.
No, they said the Indians.
Yes, that's what they said.
Yeah. It's the 80s.
Yeah. So I have to ask, so immediately, AJ, I started asking myself, wait a second. What is the difference between an android and a humanoid?
Oh, and did you find an answer?
So throughout the entire movie, they never actually explained what the difference was.
No, it's the difference between a regular cat and a jellicle cat, because jellicles can and jellicles will.
Exactly. We still need to do our cats episode.
We do. God damn it.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. I actually looked it up because I was I actually started feeling like I was losing my sanity.
Mm-hmm.
And the official definition of an android is a robot that looks like it's human.
Okay. The
official definition of a humanoid is a living creature that looks like it's human or has humanoid features.
That's what I thought.
So, a lot of the Star Wars characters would be considered humanoids.
Right, because they stand up on two legs. And
yes. So then I started really thinking, wait, are there aliens here that we didn't understand? I have no clue. I honestly have no clue.
I do think that here, we talked about this in our episode on Night Terrors, that when they wrote that movie, it was an intro to philosophy class.
Yes.
And I feel like this person who wrote this movie, or attempted to write this movie, who?
Piero Reganole.
Oh, yeah.
Has 117 writing credits.
My God.
Navajo Joe.
Yep.
Malabimba and Demonia are probably his biggest movies.
All right.
And then the story was by the director as well, whose name is Vanio Amici.
Yeah.
Although at that time he went by Bob Collins.
Good name. Well, whoever came up with this, yes.
Oh, I gotta tell you.
Okay.
This is Vanio Amici's only film that he wrote or directed.
That's what I heard. He was an editor.
He was an editor for the world famous, amazing, infamous, incredible film Troll 2.
Yeah.
Directed by Umberto Lenzi.
Well, he's actually in the documentary about it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
He shows up in there. But those guys writing this movie, however they wrote it, I don't know. It seemed as if it might have been through Google Translate and then back to English. But I feel like these guys sat in the back of the intro to philosophy class, got drunk on the intro day, and then didn't come back.
Yes. And they were like, humanoid, android, those are oids. That's
something.
What makes them robots.
Yeah, oid.
Oid.
Because honestly, I mean, there have been robots. I was thinking about this, and I looked back on it. There have been humanoid robots in film since the teens. I mean, they had. I mean, Metropolis has Futura.
That's an
in 1927.
Android.
Yeah,
that's not a humanoid. That's an android.
I was saying humanoid robot, but yes, I have no idea what is the difference. I just think that they were like, hey, let's have two warring factions, the Jets and the Sharks.
That's exactly right.
You know?
Hey, I got another oid for you.
Oh,
BJ.
no. Go.
You ready for it? Avoid this movie. Thank you.
I like that. I like
I'll
that.
I'll be here for the foreseeable future. I'm sheltering in place.
Nice. Safety first.
Yeah.
Avoid this movie. Avoid the Noid as well.
Avoid the Noids. Definitely.
Yeah.
There's another oid you should avoid.
Nice. That's an 80s
You'll steal
reference.
your pizza. Domino's.
They're not a sponsor.
Not yet, at least.
Nope. Not in the future, probably either. Not after this. So this movie, like, if it's 75% exposition, the rest of it is repetitious action that is mind-numbing.
That doesn't even feel like it fits the exposition that was given. So, like,
no.
Almost immediately after Woody Strode finds this, and the guy basically, we forgot to mention this, James, is like, I'm here to help you. I'm here to be like
I'm gonna be the next sheriff.
Yeah,
I really want to get in on this.
And immediately we cut to this woman named Margie, who is the leader of the androids. Margie, for whatever reason, has another android whose name is Shark.
Yeah,
Shark loves her, I guess? ? And it's really unclear because they also talk extensively that androids can't love and humanoids can't love, yet he is interested in her for whatever
coming
reason.
Up. Yeah.
And then she has this really great line. She says, he loves me, talking about Shark.
Right.
And someone goes, well, do you love Shark? And she goes, no, I only love death. The death of others, that is. And then we just cut to,
brilliant,
for whatever reason, the androids running into a factory ? That are filled with humanoids ?
Yeah, they're flushing them out towards the white cliffs, which there are no white cliffs.
No, it's basically it's a hole in the ground.
Yeah, it's a quarry.
It's
a quarry. Yes, exactly. Yeah. In the wonderful Kentucky mining town.
I actually wrote at this point, because that scene lasted for like 19 minutes, because the humanoids and the androids look exactly alike. I didn't know who was who.
They're all riding dirt bikes, and they're all wearing leather. And most people have guns, but there's another line later on that's like, oh, they slaughtered them. They didn't even have guns. And I'm like, no,
which is a Dakar line.
Yes.
Dakar is the leader of the humanoids.
He is
oh my god, his performance in this is mind-boggling. He is incredible. Whatever thought enters his tiny little puny brain comes out of his mouth, no matter what.
Listen,
and it is.
Listen, maybe it's not his fault. Maybe it's in his programming.
Oh, that's a good point, because he'll just literally be walking around being like, breathe, wall. I mean, it's not that bad, but it's pretty close.
I am sad.
I am sad. Faster. Let's go faster. In fact, there's a point where he's driving a car, and I'm jumping a little bit later, where he's driving a car and he's like, faster, faster, faster. And I'm like, he's like, put the pedal to the metal. And it's like, you're the one driving. What? Why are you screaming, put the pedal to the metal?
I honestly feel like there are certain things when you're dubbing that you just, like, the mouth moves and you have to fit something in there, and maybe it wasn't a direct translation. I don't know.
Maybe.
I don't know.
I don't know. That was nuts.
Yeah.
But as the androids are flushing out the humanoids to kill them, Dakar seems to be a humanoid who's going after something with another group of humanoids that never pays off. It never comes back. Whatever they were getting.
It was like they had competing abandoned warehouses.
Yes.
And Dakar was sneaking into the androids to sabotage it? Question mark? And
this was...
Yeah, it was never...
Yeah. Well, at this point, I actually wrote down, I genuinely have no clue what's going on, both in plot and how this movie is cut together. Because it actually took me a long time to figure out that Shark, as he's flushing the humanoids out towards where Margie is at so they can just kill him, like, just mow him down, I was like, wait, I don't know. At that point, I was still just so confused. So confused. Well, and I don't have it better now.
No,
Really.
and one of my biggest complaints, and this may seem pedantic and just the least of the worries in this movie, but the sense of spatial awareness and geography in this movie, like the director or the photographer or the editor just did not know how to tell a visual story, like where people are in relation to each other. It just was so confusing.
I think this is why. I think the shots of Shark running towards the warehouse is something that was filmed by Amici for this movie.
Oh, right.
The shot of people running through the warehouse and out of the warehouse and being slaughtered in the other quarry was from the other movie. And then it was then it would cut to like Margie and the other androids shooting.
Yeah.
I think that's the problem, was like Margie was new film.
Yes.
All of the stuff with people running and dying and getting shot was the old film. So it was nearly impossible to cut these things together because they actually weren't shot together.
But I imagine that, I mean, if you had spatial awareness, if you knew how to, I mean, you just do a reverse shot. There are ways to do it.
Yeah, look, you're right.
I'm just saying that
it's just,
especially if you have existing footage, you should realize, okay, if these people are getting shot from this angle, then the people shooting them should be shot
from this angle.
Camera shot from this angle. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Well, because there's not a lot of it's like people are getting shot. Like the bullets are coming from the left side of the screen, and people are dying on the right side. And then we cut to the android shooting, who are also on the right side of the screen, shooting towards the left at times. And you're just like, wait, what is happening?
Why is nobody dying in the crossfire?
Yes. Well, and there's also these weird shots too, where the androids, one of my favorite was when Shark gets out there and he just like jumps up and he starts shooting, and then he like rolls and he spins and he shoots, and then he like gets spooked and he turns around and he shoots behind him, and then he falls on his back and he shoots in the air like someone's over him. Nothing. No one falls into the screen with him. No one dies.
No.
It's just him rolling around shooting. This was a big question for me because shortly after this whole section, we cut back to Woody Strode and James in the weirdest conversation ever. Because again, remember how this is put together.
Yep.
With Woody Strode, of course, being from a different movie, literally.
Of course.
And Woody Strode's explaining, like, oh, man, humans are doing this on purpose. We're trying to run an experiment. Mm-hmm. We feed them this. And he opens up a can, and inside the can is nothing but, like, maggots and worms.
Oh, that reaction, James's reaction to that was absolutely priceless.
Do you remember what it was? Because I don't remember. I just remember laughing.
He put his... It was like a full face palm.
Yes,
like,
that's
he was like,
right.
Oh. Like, he put his hand over his mouth, and like his...
That's right.
It was so funny.
With the food, Strode explains that, like, we drop this in, and then we let them fight over it, and we only...
Which sounds so cruel.
Well, not only that, they're fucking robots. Why do they need food?
I don't know, man.
And also, I really hate to say this, especially as we're talking over the internet, and I don't want this to come back and haunt me when the computer overlords take over.
Naturally, yeah.
But I'm also curious, why do they just don't let... Like, why is there a human in the midst policing them? Why don't they just let them kill each other?
Yeah, just leave them alone. One will come out on top. Just don't let them out.
Yeah.
It seems to be like an enclosed reservation. It doesn't seem like they are branching out into the world. They're happy with their castle and their warehouses and such.
Yeah, it makes no sense. And then at this point, Strode and James go watch a delivery for no reason.
Oh, and that Chopper 6 is a dick to food. He just drops it from probably 20 feet up.
Yes.
Like a massive crate of food, and it just shatters, and all of the humanoids and androids go to attack each other. It's kind of like the Hunger Games, literally.
Yes. Oh, God. I don't even know the purpose of that scene.
I don't either.
Because eventually what happens is...
Well, it's to show how badass Woody is.
Oh, is that all it is? It's to
I'm
show
pretty
Woody
sure
kicking some butt?
They had him kicking butt. They wanted to edit it in, and it's so funny because so that they won't get him and James in the same shot. He's like, "Hey, you stay here for a couple of minutes. Let me do all of the fighting."
How it's done. This was my favorite part of the movie coming up, is when Strode and James go back to the place that they're staying, their abandoned warehouse.
Sure.
Essentially.
Yep.
And throughout this whole thing, Woody Strode has been like, I'm going to show you how this is done. We're going to take care of you. You're going to be great at this.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, James is like, can I ask you a question? And Woody Strode goes, you shut your mouth. Words don't mean much here.
Words don't mean much here.
Which then is followed up with, I don't know if you remember, it's followed up with him going, and here's some advice. And then he goes into a long monologue full of words.
It's nothing but words.
Yes.
Words and dirt bikes.
Words and dirt bikes. Yeah, and all of a sudden Woody Strode is like, you're a wuss, you're a piece of shit, you're terrible, we're gonna train. And they go into this training montage that is...
Oh, so long!
And pointless.
Pointless.
Although I really do like the moment where Woody Strode is sitting on like his legs over... It's like a balcony of a factory, but outside. I don't even know how to explain what it is. And James is doing sit-ups, leaning all the way back. But it was so weird about that shot is they have Woody Strode, like you can actually see Woody Strode and like a dude in a blue shirt like coming up really quickly, and you can't see what he looks like. And then there's a weird shot of it's now clearly James.
Yep.
And it's just two legs holding his legs down, leaning over the edge of this like balcony-ish kind of a thing.
Yeah.
And it is an uncomfortable long shot, and it's like basically
men scissoring.
Well, that's exactly that's exactly right. And anytime James comes up, all he sees is Woody Strode's junk, and you don't notice that. It's one of those parts of a movie where it would never be shot like that. So in a movie that would probably look really badass. But when you actually see like perspective of eyes, you're like, well, that's fucking weird.
This is really uncomfortable.
Yeah. Which I did appreciate that about this movie. There's a couple moments where I was like, I feel like action montages have been exposed for the truth.
Exactly. Also, I just got to say, that was the least effective marksmanship test that I've ever seen. It was two projectors.
Yes.
On a wall.
Cutting back and forth.
Yeah, cutting back and forth, rotating their slides out. And he essentially just shoots one position and then the next position and then back and forth. There's just two spots that he's shooting, and Woody seems to be disappointed in him, and there was no test of skill whatsoever.
I didn't understand that at all, because at a certain point as he's shooting these things as a test, he hits every single target.
He does.
And then Woody Strode goes, oh, you'll never make it.
You're never going to make it.
You're
never going to be the sheriff.
To which then James sits down sadly, leans his head on a desk. He wakes up and there's a note in front of him, and he's like, and the note is like, you're going to be the greatest sheriff ever. You've got all the skills. Here's the badge.
I gotta go.
Yeah, I'm leaving. Goodbye. I just realized I'm not supposed to be in this movie.
It's just going to make the rest of the movie harder to shoot if I stay.
Yeah, so I should just go ahead and take my exit.
And also, that letter comes back in a big old way near the end. Or in a couple of minutes, actually.
Yes, well, in a couple of minutes. Well, then there's also, too, I just want to point out that, like, at that point of the movie, I thought to Mike, I actually expected him to wake up from a dream.
And it was
me
weird
too. That he never did, because it was so sad. Like, when he woke up, there was, like, really, like, dreamy music and, like...
The lighting and everything,
And Woody Strode's character, like, just was so different in the... it was just one of those things where I was expecting, like, him to wake up to... like Woody Strode being attacked, and then like Woody Strode dying, and then he having to something.
Well, it's the change of personality from you drank fizzy lifting drink to Charlie, you won.
That's you're killing it on references.
Stop. This is what happens when I have 2 hours of sleep.
You know what?
It's doing
good.
You
had it, and then that sentence just ruined everything.
Yep. So, at that point, isn't Dakar looking for his girlfriend?
Yes, the only survivor from the, what do you call it, the massacre at White Cliff?
White Cliff, something like that, yeah.
Yeah, he's looking for his girlfriend, which It would have been awesome to see a scene with Dakar and her being in love, holding each other.
They didn't establish that at all.
No.
There was nothing.
I think it's because that girl and her subsequent rape and murder was from the other movie.
Oh, okay. Oh, now see, here's the thing. The fact that I didn't know this, now I'm seeing how they stitched it together, and it just felt like poor movie making. And now I'm seeing how, like, slightly cleverly they could do it.
Yeah, it's one of those things where, like, part of me wants to give Amici some sort of credit.
Yeah.
I'm sure he's got this job because he was an editor. That's what he did.
That's interesting.
So he probably looked at what existed and thought, okay, here's what we need to make a story out of.
Sure.
But yeah, Dakar just is, like, driving around.
Walking around, too.
There's a long conversation with him and a radio that's like, I'm going out because I love her, and the person on the radio is like, don't you dare.
And also
you listen to me, I'm Dakar.
The guy at the other end of the radio is like, hey, Dakar, you know that you're a humanoid. You're not supposed to have feelings. None of us have feelings. Come back. Wait, I just want to reiterate, you don't have feelings. Dakar,
like,
come back.
Listen. Don't you tell me about feelings. Oh, by the way, the guy on the other line's name was Ned.
Was it Ned?
So we've got, we have like Shark, Dakar, and Ned.
And Margie.
Oh, God.
So Dakar actually finds his girlfriend after they violate her and murder her.
Well, he doesn't find there. This is the weirdest part, because he's out driving, and what ends up happening is they violate her and shoot her.
Yep.
And we cut to a scene of Dakar driving in the car. He hears the gunshot. He stops the car, and then he looks all sad because somehow that one random gunshot was his girlfriend, and he knew it.
Maybe wireless connection, like
it's
on
Bluetooth.
It's the Bluetooth. Yeah, that's right.
Bluetooth. Look, I don't know how to phrase this right, but I'm just going to come out and say it directly. I don't think I've ever sat through what I would call a quote-unquote comfortable rape scene. But this might have actually been the most uncomfortable one we've watched in these canon movies.
Yeah, like Death Wishes had some pretty bad ones.
And this one felt worse,
one felt worse, absolutely. No, it was, I think I wrote something, it was unflinching in a really shitty way.
Yeah.
Like, it was horrible. And I think it was even extended longer because they were cutting to the new characters. They were cutting to Maggie. They were cutting to Shark.
Well, that's actually the one weird thing about Maggie, I should point out. Margie. Margie,
yeah.
Margie is... whatever. All their fucking names are
Who
stupid.
Cares?
Margie is the only actor who they brought back for this movie.
Oh.
Which is why, if you notice, Margie's hair changes length throughout.
I didn't care.
And then also, Margie's, and this is something that I'm really embarrassed that I noticed, but Margie has 2 different nude scenes in this movie.
Correct.
And in one scene, her breasts are larger than the other scene.
Oh.
And I don't know what scene order they were filmed in, if she got implants or whatever, but it was something that I noticed. And again, I'm embarrassed that I noticed it, but it just... I did.
You have an eye for detail. It's fine. It's understandable.
Yeah. Let's move on from that as quickly as possible before I turn too red.
At that point, I think this is when Dakar goes back and just he's looking for Woody Strode.
Yes,
right?
And when he shows up, he sees James and he goes, "Where's the black one? I need his help."
Yep.
And AJ, honestly, I have to tell you, I have never been so sad in my entire life. Because we were this close. If Woody Strode hadn't left, if James had left instead, we would have had Woody Strode, whose character's name is the Black One, and Dakar. We could have had Dakar Noir. That would have been the last half of this movie, was Dakar Noir.
That would be amazing.
It just didn't happen.
Damn, man. That is that tops any reference that I've made this time. That's amazing.
Oh man. At this point I wrote down, will they ever explain the difference between androids and humanoids?
No.
And the answer is they will not.
Absolutely not. And at this point, also, Dakar asks James for his help, and James is, well, the sheriff in general, but James's role seems so ill-defined.
Well, because he asks for his help.
Yeah, and he's like, nah, I'm not going to do that.
And then he has a remembrance of Woody Strode being like...
the audio flashback, man.
You're going to find out what kind of sheriff you're going to be, and it'll be a good one.
That is... If you've ever seen movies where they use audio flashbacks, usually it's like a phrase. It's like...
unless it's Death Wish. Remember the Death Wish movies had long audio flashbacks. Oh my god. Well, but I was thinking, actually, I don't know why, but Signs... Swing away, Meryl. Yeah, swing away. And in this one, it's half of the letter. Yeah.
Good lord.
Yeah,
and he just stares. He's just staring into the void while Dakar is watching him.
So this is probably what this actually looked like if you were in the room. So, like, you be Dakar and ask me to help you, okay?
Hey, James, you gotta help me take down the androids, please.
No, that's not my job.
Huh. Well, okay. Well, I guess I should just I'll be.
You know what? Actually, I will help you.
That was a very weird change of heart, but thank you. Fantastic. Let's go. Yes, okay, cool.
And we're off.
And that begins the most infuriating 25 goddamn minutes
of my life
of a movie that I've ever seen. And I kind of get it now, but they go through the longest, most protracted infiltration.
Well, what's weird is even before that...
Yeah.
I just want to throw out
please. There's so much and so little.
I know. There's this place, like, they're going to they being James and Dakar, are going to some place called the Castle, which is where the androids live, ?
Sure.
Which is different than the factory that they were in earlier, ?
That's their hangout. That's like the Peach Pit. This is,
I see. This is their home.
This is their home.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
This is 90210, whereas the Peach Pit is just a restaurant on
the beach or whatever.
Yeah, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't watch that show. I
really didn't either.
Something.
I've heard things.
What was weird about that is two things happened. Number one, Shark just out of nowhere goes, "Hey, I got a weird feeling that there's going to be something happening tonight. So why don't everybody be on guard? No one's allowed to sleep." And I thought to myself, well, they're androids. They don't need sleep. They just need to recharge.
Yeah, what are you doing?
You just sort of plug in anywhere. And the other thing that was really weird, too, is they are, for whatever reason, and it makes no sense, Margie is re-watching the rape sequence.
Oh, that was the most... If the rape sequence before was uncomfortable, this is, like, 10 times worse.
Well, yeah, because, like, what's so weird about
it's like there's deleted scenes in it, too.
Well, that's the thing. Well, first of all, there's more dialogue in that scene than there was in the actual first sequence. Yeah. Second of all, look, not that I'm saying that we should ever necessarily have or want any more scenes like that, but, like, if they were showing that scene to Dakar to, like, make him angry, I sort of get it.
Yeah.
But this was literally just Margie watching it. And I think Margie recorded it through her own eyes.
Through her eyes, I guess, yeah. And it will...
And she says something to the effect of, doesn't violence... Shark is there watching as well. And she says something to the effect of, like, doesn't violence turn you on? And then she turns around to walk away, and Shark is following her, and she's like, what the fuck are you doing? He's like, well, we just watch violence. I'm turned on, aren't you? And she's like,
weren't you talking about me? Yeah.
Excuse me, you're an android. And you know I don't sleep with androids.
And what she says is, you're an android, which means you are zero. And I really want that to be a binary joke, but I feel like it's just a poorly translated Italian joke.
Well, what I don't understand is...
Yeah.
Isn't Margie an android?
Yeah. Why is she not a zero? Is she the queen of the zeros?
What's happening in this movie?
I don't know, man.
Okay, so please tell me.
So there are 2 points of ingress, I guess, that they need to hit. One is to drop the defense shield or some bullshit. I don't know. And Dakar and James, along with a bunch of humanoids, just faceless, humanoids, they bust into this place, and they don't bust in. They actually sneak in
for an hour and a half.
For an hour, it's
real time.
So long, man.
It's real time.
And they don't even break it up with consistent taking out of guards and secret sneaky stuff. It's just them turning again around another corner and turning again around another goddamn corner.
And every once in a while they'll take out a guard.
Maybe, but that's every 5 minutes.
Yes.
And then they shut down that with the most clever way to do it ever
actually, this was one of my other favorite lines in the movie, is because Dakar and James end up in the control room, and Dakar looks at James like a helpless baby and goes, "I don't know how to use controls.
I don't know. I'm just a living computer, man."
Yeah. And then James is like, "I know a way to turn it off." And then they just shoot it.
Shoot it with a shotgun.
They just shoot it. Oh, God.
And then here's the next 10 minutes of the movie, them being pursued by two, I don't know if they're robotic dogs or dogs that are controlled by a robotic collar.
This, honestly, was where my attention truly flagged.
Well,
in a way I cannot even describe.
If you notice, the times where you are supposed to be worried that a dog is coming at you or going away from you, it is the same two shots.
Oh, it is.
Over and over and over again, with just musical stings to make you understand that, they might be closer. They might be closer. Nope.
And the dogs, look, I feel like a dog is scarier the closer it is to you.
Yeah.
When the dog is 100 feet away, it's like, okay, I mean, it's coming at me, and there's something frightening about that, but if it's all the way over there and I have a gun,
probably not going to be that big of a deal.
And every single shot of those dogs were from a mile. In fact, some of those shots were so far away, and the dogs were, I think, a Doberman.
Yes, a black Doberman, yeah.
It was a black Doberman at night.
Yep.
And it was so dark that all you could see was just this little splotch of brown. And it almost looked like a tiny little Chihuahua was running.
That was all you could see.
Them.
And they were 100 feet away until Dakar... Until they weren't. And then Dakar murders a dog by choking it to death.
Yeah, that was...
neat.
Well, and once he chokes the dog to death, all the other humanoids are like, "Oh, all right, cool, let's go."
Yeah, that makes sense. Cool.
Let's
all
go.
Right.
Let's go in and start attacking the androids.
And so then another, I don't know, the rest of the 10 minutes, this all started at minute 55. And now when they're getting into this, it's 1:15 or something. It's a long goddamn time.
Yeah.
And they're running through this castle and they're murdering guards and
shots don't make sense. Again,
no,
like you said
and not
earlier,
at all.
Things don't make sense. We see characters that I'm like, I think I saw you before, but I'm not quite sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm confused as to who you are.
Maybe you are Margie's lover. Or maybe you are Shark because you look exactly the same.
Yeah.
Those guys didn't...
You're the guy who assaulted Dakar's girlfriend.
Maybe.
It was unclear.
And at the end of all of this, there's a showdown between Shark and Dakar.
Well, before that, so there's two moments that I actually thought were... One moment I actually really liked, and that's when there's a room full of five baddies.
Five baddies?
James ties a string to the outside of the door.
Oh, yeah.
Walks away and slowly starts to pull the door open. And the bad guy's like, just shoot the door for a minute.
To Swiss cheese.
Just everything. And they go check to see if the person is dead. Because they're like, he's got to be dead. And, of course, James has just used a string. Which I thought was a clever moment.
That was probably the one clever moment in this movie.
And then the other moment that I was like... I don't know if I like this or if I hate this more than anything, and I cannot tell, was there is a moment where James turns to run down a hallway of open doors.
Okay.
And all that happens is alternating left and right, people hop out, and he shoots the guy.
Right.
Someone hops out of the other side, and he shoots the guy. And he just stays static as people alternate hopping out, and he's killing the 19 people down the hallway. which is the same exact thing we saw in the training montage.
Oh my God, you're right.
Yes.
He trained him so well.
He actually...
Yeah.
Or, well, we'll get there.
Yeah,
but
we'll get there.
When that happened, I was like, did that terrible training montage actually just fucking pay off?
It was actually kind of a Scooby-Doo hallway.
Well, that's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
Yes, it was. It was just really long, just a whole bunch of sets of doors, and it was the same guy, and they just kept passing the same thing over and over.
And actually, one of the shots that I really liked was when Shark and Dakar both come down separate stairways, and they meet in this little hallway or alcove or something like that, face to face. And I thought that was, I mean, it's a coincidence that they met at the same time, but it was actually, it had a little bit of energy behind it. And I actually enjoyed that confrontation. I was like, oh, cool. Now it's starting.
I also really like the hallway shot that I had just explained was not a great shot as far as like movement is concerned.
Right.
But I actually thought the shot was composed really well and lit really well.
And story-wise, oddly. Yeah.
And story-wise, it kind of worked, which was weird that fucking paid off in one way or another.
I would absolutely love to pick this guy's brain.
Yeah.
Goddamn.
How amazing would it have been if you asked him that question? He was like,
of course.
I did not know that. Interesting. Yes, I meant to. I am the great Amici.
I know things.
Like how to add it.
And
man,
finally,
Italians are the only people you can still make fun of.
The Irish. Yeah, we're good.
Yeah, that's
we're
fine.
good.
That's it.
But I'm really happy we got the Shark and Dakar fight.
Yes.
And in fact,
it was weirdly slow and sometimes bad, and also sometimes awesome.
Yeah, Sometimes they varied up the movements where there would be a great kick, but then everything was like slow old men fighting.
Yes.
Yes. And finally, at an hour 19, which is 5 minutes before the end of this movie, we get the only evidence that these motherfuckers are robotic.
Yes.
And I understand if it's from another movie.
There's a few times when they are shot that they don't bleed, they spark.
Yes.
But it's not like
it's not like
inside.
It's not
it could have just been a bad it's just like it took me a long time to realize that's what was happening, and it wasn't just really bad squib effects.
No, I get that.
To be fair,
I would have liked, and of course this would have been even more challenging, but if there was some sort of evidence with a prosthetic or something like that they could have put on or put on the face or just a cut like in Terminator or something like that.
Yes.
Any of those.
Or when
options.
they're shot with a shotgun and their entire stomachs would be ripped open.
Something
that
like
it just
that.
showed something electrical inside rather than them just sparking and falling over.
That would have been nice. Yeah, and I know that costs more money, and if it's half a movie, it's half a movie. I get it. But we do see... go.
Sorry, I was just going to say, I wonder if, like, in the scene where the humanoids are all getting shot in the beginning of the movie...
Yeah.
I wonder if in The Final Executioner, which was the name of the original movie...
Right.
It had to do with robots, or if those were actually humans.
Interesting. That's a question.
I mean, obviously, I have no clue, but I think that would change things. But you are completely right that we were missing this thing that we finally get to see, which was
we finally get to see it where Dakar has Shark against a railing, and he just brings his hammer down, which is his hand, not his penis, and smacks it.
Or Thor's hammer.
Dakar. And just snaps his neck, basically, and you can see the wiring underneath the neck, which was actually fine. It was it was a decent effect for the level of movie that they had, and it looked fine.
I think they just spent their entire budget on that one
thing.
Issue. Yeah, that's the problem.
True.
And then shortly after, like immediately after, James walks in.
He walks in. He doesn't run in either.
He just walks in. He's like, "Oh, you took care of the main henchman.
Nice job, kid."
And immediately, Margie comes in with a gun, goes to shoot James. Dakar jumps in front of James, gets a shot in the stomach, falls over. James shoots Margie. Margie dies.
Yeah.
And James runs over to Dakar and goes, are you okay? You know, whatever. And Dakar is like,
Did we win?
Did we win?
Oh.
Yes, buddy. We totally won. And Dakar goes,
Can I tell you something?
Yeah. Can I tell you something? I always wanted to be you.
I always envied you.
Yes, that's right.
And then he's like, do you mean humans? It's such a dick thing to say for James to be like, I'm not quite getting what you're talking about in your last words.
Me or humans?
Can you explain?
Envy me specifically? Because that's one thing, and I'm going to take that to the grave. But if it's just humans, then that's a whole other thing.
And will you, before we say the very last line of the movie, will you tell me what I sent to you in a text message?
Yes. So you sent to me, I just yelled at my TV, fuck you. And I said, timestamp? You said basically the end. I said, let me guess. It's all a dream, isn't it?
And I didn't send anything back.
No, because Dakar's last line is...
It was just a dream.
To then which James pulls off that stupid sheriff's badge, sets it on Dakar, taps it,
ding, ding.
And then walks away. Credits.
Credits roll. And you just see him walking all the way. He walks for a while under the credits.
Did you ever see... This is my biggest... This should not be one of my biggest takeaways from this movie, but did you ever see the movie The Help?
No, I haven't.
Oh my god. So in the end of The Help, Viola Davis's character is walking down the street through the entirety of the credits.
Oh, wow.
And the credits last for like 7 minutes. And all I thought to myself as I was watching the end of that movie wasn't like, oh, how sad, or any other things or other emotions.
Yeah.
I just thought to myself, they shot this for a long-ass time of just her walking away into the distance, getting smaller and smaller. And I thought to myself, I wonder how many times she had to shoot this scene.
Oh, hopefully not
her
a bunch.
Walking away, because literally she is just walking forever.
Well,
that's what this felt like.
Well, there's a very interesting shot at the end of a movie that you have not seen still, called Call Me By Your Name, where Timothée Chalamet...
I don't know what you mean.
Oh, no, it's fine. Timothée Chalamet is looking into a fireplace, and he does it for half of the credits. He's just staring into the fireplace with the camera within the fireplace, and it's truly haunting. I think those long... I mean, I agree with you. Those shots must be maddening if you screw them up.
Yes.
But they really resonate. This one didn't. This one definitely didn't.
It didn't?
No.
But he left.
No. It didn't matter at all.
He left and he went back to the real world because all the androids and humanoids were dead.
Oh, Nick. Yeah, Nick, let me tell you something. I didn't give a shit. Yeah, not at all.
You spent an hour and 24 minutes with James.
Yeah.
And at the end of the movie, you're telling me you did not... I can't even finish the sentence.
So do we think... Now, what's your theory? Dream?
You know what? It felt like... You know what it really felt like to me is the end of Blade Runner.
Yes! That's alternately why I yelled at the I was like, fuck you for coming out 7 years after Blade Runner.
And basically ripping out Blade Runner. Yeah,
basically saying, doing a shittier job of Time to Die.
Yeah. It's seriously, like, we were so close to Dakar being like, did we win? Sometimes my tears disappear, like...
in the rain.
In the rain, whatever.
Oh,
I'm misquoting that right now.
It's fine.
Because
but it's
we
so
shouldn't
frustrating.
even be quoting Blade Runner.
You really shouldn't.
Anywhere near this movie.
Not at all.
And that's actually, that's what was the line was on set. It's, like, I feel like my programming is being erased like water running down a bathtub, tears, rain, cheeks.
Great job, Dakar. Great job.
Dakar, that's awesome.
Cut print. That's a wrap.
Yes, I said my lines. Did you hear my lines? I was just in a movie. I have to go to the bathroom. I'm peeing. Dakar.
And if nobody knows this, Blade Runner is based on a Philip K. Dick novel called Android's Dream of Electric Sheep.
Yes,
and
which
just a dream. Yeah. Fuck, man. Could you bite any harder off of everything that came before you?
Yes.
God damn it.
Which is weird because I actually, again, everything that I read about this movie, the summary is, in a futuristic New York City, a cyborg goes on a killing spree. And at one point, I thought, oh, this is going to be like a bad RoboCop ripoff.
Yeah, I could see that happening.
I got the wrong ripoff.
Apparently so.
Because the cyborg is a half man, half robot, but it's like an actual
like
human
augmented stuff.
Yes,
like inserted eyes or arms or additional pieces. Yeah,
exactly. It's not a robot that looks like a human.
Not at all.
I also thought this was going to be like, there's a cyborg who's a serial killer that a cop was going to have to go after.
I love watching that too.
Well, I thought it was going to be a little bit like The Borrower without the humor. Like, just a cop chasing something that shouldn't be out. I mean, like, no, that's not what we got.
I'd actually love to see something like that, and I don't know if it's been done. It probably has, but a less self-aware Blade Runner. You know, like if in secret androids had been developed, and a cop was after like you're saying, after a serial killer, but it was a malfunctioning robot. That's actually kind of a cool. I mean, it's got to have been done.
I think
you're not that clever.
Wasn't that the basic plot of Runaway, which was the Tom Selleck movie? Yeah, so the plot of Runaway, in the near future, a police officer specializes in malfunctioning robots. When a robot turns out to have been programmed to kill, he begins to uncover a homicidal plot to create a killer robots.
Well,
and his son becomes target. So yeah, it's different. It's totally different.
But I think if it was like not even aware of the existence of that intelligent of a robot, or that ability to pass as a human, but this was not that. No, this was nowhere close to that. Also, can you read us the tagline for this movie?
The tagline. Yeah, this is good. This is so good.
Yep.
Born to be wild. I can't even say it.
It doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't make any sense.
Built to be wild.
I
love that.
Well, they weren't built to be wild. They were built to be normal humans, and then their programming made them wild.
True. Oops.
The alternate titles of this movie were Cyborg Cop, which then leads us further to understand that James is a cyborg.
Yeah, maybe.
And then Replica Cop.
That's a horrible
Future
name.
Detective. Oh no, that's the whole name. Replica Cop, Future Detective.
Replica Cop is... Nobody said that out loud when they were marketing that. Nobody said that, and we're like, that's going to be really hard to have word of mouth because nobody's going to want to say it.
Yeah, but it also sounds like Replicaca, which this movie was.
Or you could have named it Replicop.
Ooh.
Thank you.
Well, then that would definitely have been a RoboCop. Blatant RoboCop
That's
ripoff.
Very true.
Replicop. Oh, God.
Copra.
Future Dick. Because detective.
There you
Dick
go.
Dick is short for detective.
Oh, he was a dick. What do we steal from this, man?
Man,
anything?
I think there's two things.
Okay.
One is I really liked the string on the door thing.
Yep.
I actually thought that was really clever.
I think that's not bad, yeah.
And then the second thing is not really a thing to steal, but maybe it's something to pseudo-admire.
Okay.
And I think I would have admired it more if they had done it better, was the fact that this is actually half of a different movie spliced together. And I think what is fascinating is you, as a person who didn't know that when watching it...
Just thought it was a problematic movie.
Which actually tells me that in some ways Vania Amici did an okay job.
Yeah, it's a full movie.
Yeah, and then for me, who knew, the only part that I knew that was the Woody Strode stuff.
Yeah.
But everything I've read says like almost over half the runtime is comprised of like the stock footage from that other movie.
Damn.
So as I was watching, the Woody Strode stuff was really obvious to me, but then there was other stuff where I was like, I don't know. Which, in some ways, I'll give it an ounce of credit for even if I knew there were some moments where I was actually like, I don't know I actually can't tell where
Right.
this is from, which is both to his credit and his discredit, I guess.
I mean, it's a detriment to the whole movie, but it's fine, you know. I think there's something that we didn't talk about at the very beginning, and it's when Shark is getting ready to attack the humanoids. There's actually this really cool wide long shot of the warehouse. I don't know if you remember that.
Yes.
It was a beautiful shot, and it's completely ruined by panning over some shitty dirt bikes. But it still starts out as a very interesting shot, and I really enjoyed like the sense of space, and that was the only time that we really understood the sense of space.
Well, there was also, if I remember correctly, too, in that same shot, you could sort of far away in the background see Dakar looking inside of the android's warehouse, which actually built like an interesting mystery at that point. It did. Because, and this is actually something that, in retrospect, too, that I thought that I actually sort of liked, but to be fair, I actually don't think this was on purpose. I think this is just because it was a fucking mess of a movie. I kind of enjoyed that I wasn't sure, because I actually thought Takar was going to be a bad guy in the movie.
Yeah, a secondary bad guy,
Yeah, and when he turned out to be sort of a good guy, I was like, oh, that was like a nice, surprising
good dynamic
moment.
Yeah.
Because I thought eventually it would be James alone fighting both
everybody.
The androids and the humanoids.
I mean, that dynamic would have been kind of more interesting, but it would have been more complicated. So I don't think that this movie was up for that.
Yeah, and again, like I said, I think that was just an accident of filming. I wish we would have, because I think there are certain things about Dakar of like, why does he love people? Why, and then like there are several moments where I was like, oh, that, like I leaned in because I was like, that was an interesting like breadcrumb. Yeah,
and they attempt to put in some philosophy of what existence means and what does it mean to love or to be frustrated with love. I mean, you watch. With better, more capable hands and better actors, think about the dynamic between Shark and Margie. If it was developed out, if it was sussed out a little bit more, that could have been a fascinating thing.
Right.
Yeah.
He's somehow programmed to love and she isn't.
Yes.
Or maybe his defect is that he loves too much and her defect is that she can't love at all, or whatever.
Right. Yeah.
There's could be fascinating things that just never pay off.
And a couple of times they even say it so blatantly that it's like, yes, we get it. That makes sense. We all understand that at some base level, but you really just hit us in the fucking face with that philosophy. Thank you so much.
I mean, this is the same writer who was like, I drive, pedal to the metal. Go faster!
I'm in a movie.
Why not fast? Move faster. Oh, craft services. Save me a banana.
Here's the question that you usually ask.
Whoa, is there anything else you want to steal? Because you had that one shot.
You know what?
And I think we got on a roll.
We did. I enjoyed the neck break.
Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah.
I would also throw out the neck break, too, that we didn't mention, is that was actually probably a relatively cheap effect.
It seemed like it.
Looked good.
It did.
Because they actually did it.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense. Okay.
And also, I think that this isn't necessarily canon, but to save money, I do think that they have repeated shots before in quite a number of movies.
Happened. Yeah.
And so I think that that's definitely a canon thing that we could steal. Just as like a nod, something like that.
And if you gotta spice it up a little bit too.
Yeah.
Like reverse the image so the dogs look like they're running in a different direction.
God. What about that constant cut back to the one camera? The security camera?
I think at this point I had kind of checked out.
It kept cutting to weird shots of the
Margie watching.
Margie watching like anticipatorily, and then
it's coming closer.
I know, and just those three: the dogs, the camera, her, the camera, dog, the camera.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Actually, I think I at a certain point forgot what the dogs were chasing after.
Oh, sure, because they never got there.
Yeah. That's yes.
Yeah, there's a rule in Hollywood: children, cops, and dogs. Children, cops, and dogs. Never work with children, cops, or dogs.
I've never heard the cops thing.
I mean, it's just another complication.
Got it. Yeah. Like a real cop, you mean?
Like a real cop, yeah.
This is not exactly how we would do it on the force. Also, I can't pull my weapon because that would be illegal.
I do have to give credit. That is a song from behind the scenes, the movie Run, Ronnie, Run, starring David Cross, based on a bit from the wonderful HBO show Mr. Show with Bob and David.
You know what's really funny? When you say Run, Ronnie, Run, I know it's David Cross to a certain extent. Mm-hmm. But in my head, every single time I think of Run, Ronnie, Run, I think of David Spade as
Joe Dirt. Yeah, no, it was the archetype way before it even happened.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I think you were going to ask me if I liked the movie.
Did you like the movie? Would you recommend it?
This one's a really tough one in that usually I am the person who's more gung-ho about, yay, it was great, it was or like, you could watch it with friends.
Sure.
This was one of the toughest ones for me to get through so far on this journey. I think this is our 67th movie at this point.
About that, yeah. Fact check, AJ here. 68.
And I think the only thing in the running that was more difficult was probably the movie that we famously say broke us.
Yes.
Which was Otello the Black Commando.
Yeah, I don't think this broke me quite so much as that.
Me either, to be fair.
I think this was just sort of disappointing and gave me a lot of reasons, just like you, to check out from it.
Yeah.
I think that if I were to watch this with somebody or with a group, there's a lot of times where people will bag on a movie through the entire movie, having fun, joking about it. I think this has such little amounts of things to joke about.
Yeah.
That I'm surprised we've been talking this long about it, honestly.
I agree. I always enjoy watching bad movies with, like, sitting next to you being able to scream, what the fuck was that? Like, why is this not like, where, like, it always adds an enjoyment.
Exactly.
And then it's also fun to track when moments of movies happen and you're like, both of us are quiet and we're like,
oh, this got us.
Yeah. And like when we watch Dancers, in that episode you'll hear us talk about, like, if you go back and listen, both of us were completely shocked, and I think both of us were like half expecting to make fun of it. And
exactly.
I think both of us were just in awe of the movie.
Way heavier than I expected it to be.
Yeah, and I think those kinds of experiences are pretty great, which is, look, I hope when all of this quarantining and sheltering in place ends, that studios start putting their things back into theaters and they don't switch to on demand, because there's nothing like watching a movie with a group. People, even if it's strangers, because certain things you can find fun. I don't know. It's just
it's a group
communal experience.
Communal experience. Thank you. Yes.
Which is why I love theaters like the New Beverly. I mean, I know we talk about them all the time, but like, what makes them so great, in my opinion, is just the fact that, like, these are old movies that I would never get to see with other people. It's awesome to be able to experience those with other humans in the same room.
Well, and I think there's a really cool feeling when you are there for a very specific reason, not passively, and therefore I think everybody in the theater feels pretty comfortable with talking to each other just out of the blue, just being like, what'd you think about that movie? How was that? That was pretty cool, right? Rather, and again, being part of a community.
Well, and it's also people there. Well, this is a whole other story too about, like, the difference between seeing something at your local Cineplex where everybody there is really invested in what they're doing and watching the movie, and the people who are watching something passively the same way they would watch television at home, and they pull out their phones and they have a conversation.
It's just the new weekly movie that's come out that they're going on a date to see. Yeah.
Which can be great. Like, I feel like all of a sudden I started accidentally shitting on.
No, that's
because that's where I'm often at, is at a movie theater.
And I've multiple times, you and I, in fact, I think one of the last times we saw a movie together at just a regular cinema,
I yelled at children.
You yelled at children, but then also some guy came up to us afterwards and was like, "You guys want to discuss it?" We were like, "Aw."
Oh, that's right.
Remember that guy?
That happened. Yeah, and that was that was like a fun thing. Like, we had never met that guy.
Yeah.
Nobody knew who he was. And he was like, I want to talk about the movie with you.
How about it?
I was, okay, join our conversation, dude. Let's go for it.
It's pretty neat.
So,
hopefully that comes back. Hopefully, I
did yell at children, though. That's a whole other story.
Well, yeah, they were talking through the quiet part of A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood, and that's the one time you don't talk.
Yeah.
Children. I do want to say one more thing before we wrap this up. If you want to see a movie where they use multiple other movies that aren't supposed to go together, and I know this is a little bit of an old movie, and it probably is fairly un-PC nowadays. I haven't seen it in a long time, but Kung Pao Enter the Fist.
I was thinking that a lot while watching this movie.
It's ridiculously funny.
I remember thinking it was fun.
Yeah.
You're probably right if we watched it now, because it's definitely, Steve Odenkirk.
Yes.
Who I don't think is a relation to Bob Odenkirk.
I don't think so either, no. Okay, Research AJ here. Steve Odenkirk has no relation to Bob Odenkirk, mainly because he doesn't have an N in his last name. Other differences include Steve writing for In Living Color from 1990 to 1994, while Bob was a writer for Saturday Night Live from 87 to 91. Also, while Bob plays Jimmy McGill on the acclaimed Breaking Bad spin-off Better Call Saul, Steve was a writer and producer on the Academy Award-nominated movie Jimmy Neutron, Boy Genius. And while Bob was playing Matthew Broderick's brother in The Cable Guy with Jim Carrey, Steve was writing Ace Ventura: When Nature Calls with Jim Carrey. So, they're essentially the same guy. Also, Bob has a younger brother, Bill Odenkirk, who is a writer for Mr. Show, Futurama, Disenchanted, and a writer and executive producer for The Simpsons. And he has a PhD in inorganic chemistry. And that's the War of the Kirks. Tangent. Back to the show.
But it is... he's definitely doing the yellow face.
Well, he's not. Maybe he is. I don't know.
Well, he's not actually in Yellowface as much as he is playing an Asian character, is maybe what I should say.
Or, yes, something to that
effect.
If
I remember correctly.
Or he's an adopted baby. I don't remember exactly, but...
That was Beverly Hills Ninja starring Chris Farley.
Oh, God, you're right.
He was an adopted white baby.
That's true. All right.
Yeah.
But also, his tongue talks in Kung Pao Enter the Fist. So it's he fights a cow. So there's a lot of weird stuff in it.
Steve Odenkirk, I don't know. I worked at Blockbuster during that time period when that movie came out.
Okay.
And I don't know if you remember like Thumbtanic and like Thumb Wars, which is like the Star Wars movie.
God Thumb. Yeah.
Those were all Steve Odenkirk movies.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Which
they were brilliant.
Were they?
No, they were fun. They were fun to watch for 20 minutes.
That. Yes.
But yeah, check that out. See what an actual
That's
a really
the original YouTube video.
Honestly,
you think about it.
That's very true.
Speaking of which, as of today's recording, I read today, 15 years ago today, the first ever video was uploaded on YouTube, and
it all went downhill from there.
Well, it was a dick joke about an elephant.
Was it really?
Yeah, it's just one of the founders of YouTube being at the zoo, being like, "Here I am at the zoo, and behind me is an elephant, which are really amazing, and they're known for their really long, long trunks." And that was the entire clip.
Excellent.
Which is really funny to read today the stories about it, because all the stories are describing it, and I don't think anyone realizes he was making a dick joke.
You know what the greatest thing is? It's got 90 million views. Almost 153 million as of this editing. So, wow. And that doesn't come close to some of the stuff that's on YouTube.
Yes, I know.
Good times.
Good times. Wow, we really took a diversion there at the end of this episode.
We really did.
You know what's really funny? Mm-hmm. We should reveal to the audience now. We actually watched 2 different movies, and we just stitched 2 different episodes together.
Magic of editing, guys.
Yeah.
How crazy.
We thought we would do just like the movie.
That would have been cool if we had done that.
Yeah, I know.
All right. Yeah, maybe.
Hey,
Nick, do you know what we're doing next week?
Well, yes, AJ, I do know, because I make the plans of what we're doing every week.
Of course you do.
Yes. Well, next week.
Yeah.
Next week, I figure we should go down the rabbit hole of the cyborg.
Yes, of course.
Not Jean-Claude Van Damme cyborg. No.
Oh,
we are going to watch
the
1993/1994, depending on whether you go by when it was filmed or when it came out.
Mm-hmm.
This movie is a landmark because it is Cannon's last theatrical release.
Oh my gosh.
Not their last movie they produced.
No, of course.
Which we are going to save for probably the last episode of the podcast.
I think that makes sense.
But the last movie they released. We are checking out...
This is a milestone, though.
It is. American Cyborg, Steel Warrior.
Oh, hell yeah.
Hells yeah.
Anything with a subtitle means it's going to be great.
It's going to be awesome. This is directed by Boaz Davidson, like
I know.
X-Ray, Last American Virgin, like...
He's so great.
He is awesome. I'm actually really excited about this movie. It should be fucking bananas, is my guess.
Well, if you're into having sexual relations with fruit, then so am I.
Yeah.
Fucking bananas.
Fucking bananas, which was the sequel to Goin' Bananas, actually, which was also directed by Boaz Davidson.
Dom DeLuise, After Dark.
You know why Dom DeLuise had sex with bananas?
Why is that?
Because he found them appealing. Thank you.
All right.
Join us for American Cyborg Steel Warrior on Voodoo.
Sorry, we're canceling.
Voodoo.
We're canceling the podcast. I'm sorry. Yeah, you can rent this on Voodoo. Next week, the American Cyborg. We'll see you then.
I bet you'll find this movie appealing.
God damn it. Hey Nick, where can we follow you?
You can follow me on Twitter at Nicholas C. Pappas. You can.
Do you have a website?
I do have a website.
Oh.
It's nicholascpappas.com, a website that is forever under construction.
Yay.
And also, if you really want to follow me as well, I'm on Venmo. You can send money to... You know what? Never mind. We'll do that later.
Okay. Yeah. It's good. It's always nice to reach out to fans.
Yeah.
You can follow me at the AJ Hamilton, and I have a website, theajhamilton.com, and you can follow us at Creating Canon. That's creating CANNON, and you can email us creatingcanon@gmail.com. Also, Nick was obviously joking about Venmo, but if you do like what you hear and you want to support us, you actually can head over to buymeacoffee.com/creatingcanon. That's CANNON, and I don't know, buy us a coffee? I think that's how it works. I guess it's like virtual pods, where they email you beans? I don't know. Is that about it?
That's
Nicholas?
about it.
Cool.
I mean, I think this episode is officially longer than the movie itself.
Yay!
That's what quarantine does to us, man.
Quarantine super episodes.
Yeah.
You know you want it. All right, man. And what do we say? Good night. And good canon.
Every single time I feel like we are perfectly in sync.
Mm-hmm.
But because of latency, it is all over the place.
It's all bad.
And I can't wait to hear how that turns out.
Me too. And I'm not going to edit it. It's going to be great.
Shouldn't.
Nope.
Un, dos, trois clap.
Coyon and Scott C.
Anyways.
Right. Next time? Next time, maybe?
Well, next time, we are going to watch...
something.
Dumb and Dumber.
Coyon Scott C. You want to hear the most annoying sound in the world?
I just heard it. Your voice.
Well, Nick, where can we follow you?
I don't miss you, but I love you.
Oh, okay. Nice.
We were way off on that one.
Dakar?
Dakar.
Yeah. Coyon Scott Ski, but it's not Russian.
Snake.
Shark.
You sent to me... Oh, I just dropped my phone.
Yanitskatsi.
Sorry, I'm taking forever. I'm actually just looking for something really quickly.
Okay. It's not really quickly, though. Koyoniskatsi. Yep.
You can eat my ass.
Okay, no.
Koyoniskatski.
Alright, so here we are in front of the elephants. Cool thing about these guys is that they have really, really, really long trunks. And that's cool. And that's pretty much all there is to say.